Crocodiles are simply the modern version of prehistoric monsters. And the heavyweight champion and the largest of the living reptiles is the saltwater crocodile. These creatures can easily reach 17 feet in length, and some males grow up to 20 feet and weigh as much as 2,600 pounds. But there is a Guinness World Record holder that surpasses these numbers. A saltwater crocodile found in East India stretched to a staggering 23 feet in length. Lelong is the most famous crocodile ever to have lived in captivity. He was captured in the Philippines in 2011 after a 3-week hunt. He was not only large, but also very aggressive. When 100 people were pulling him onto land, he broke the ropes, holding him twice. There were rumors about Lelong even before his capture. The locals believed he was responsible for the mysterious disappearances of fishermen and livestock in the region, even for the tragic death of a schoolgirl. But after a thorough examination of Lelong's stomach, no human or buffalo remains were found. Hunters spotted another, possibly even larger crocodile in the area, but this did not diminish Lelong's fame. Catching him required more than just guys with nets. It was a combined effort of local hunters, government officials, and crocodile experts. A whole eco-park was built in Bunuan specifically for Lelong. It was a sensation for tourists and the economy. Lelong was such a star that the town earned about $72,000. The mayor even admitted, "I loved that crocodile. He made our town and the Philippines famous." But in less than 2 years, Lelong died from pneumonia and a fungal infection. Some suggest that the stress of captivity and the cold weather might have played a role. Many internet users were outraged at how quickly the mighty Lelong withered away due to poor captivity conditions. Despite this, his legacy lives on. Lelong's body was preserved and displayed at the National Museum of Natural History in Manila. Tourists continue to marvel at his size and see crocodiles as living dinosaurs. And the locals know that even more monstrous reptiles might inhabit this region. Boars instill fear not only with their ferocity and cunning. Unlike pigs, they are sturdier and more muscular, with long legs. But giant boars are not just a legend among hunters. They truly roam the forests. Friday the 13th. What a day to encounter such a creature. In 2015, on this superstitious date, Pyotr Maximov, an experienced hunter and co-founder of a hunting estate, ventured into the Ural forests. While hunting from a tower at a feeding site, he spotted the beast. A true giant emerged from the thicket. Maximov fired the first shot, piercing the hide, but the boar immediately disappeared into the forest. Maximov, along with the gamekeeper, set off in pursuit. They followed the boar's trail for a long time and finally found a drop of blood. Later, they discovered the boar lying in the snow, still alive. The boar, wounded but relentless, charged at them. The hunters took cover behind a tree and, after a tense standoff, made the decisive shot. That's how Maximov bagged the largest boar in the world. Its weight was estimated at over 1,100 pounds. The boar was so large that the hunters couldn't even load it into the vehicle. They had to drag it with a rope. Driving through the village late in the evening, the hunters surprised everyone they passed. It turned out to be the largest boar ever killed, setting a world record. Typically, boars weigh around 200 pounds. Some giants reach nearly 600 pounds. But this boar stood almost 7 feet tall at the shoulder. According to experts, the boar reached such a size due to the hunting ban and surveillance cameras set up in the region. And Maximov's boar was not the only one. There are rumors of other giants hiding in the forests around the village of Shikurovo. There have been other stories of record-sized boars. In 2007, an 11-year-old hunter named Jameson Stone shot a 1,000-pound boar in Alabama. This 9-foot beast was considered the largest, although there were doubts about the accuracy of Stone's claim. There were suspicions that the photos were fake. In the end, this boar turned out to be a large domestic pig named Fred. Another case is the boar from Georgia. It weighed 1,100 pounds, almost as much as Maximov's boar. Moreover, this is the most thoroughly documented case in the U.S., undeniable proof that wild boars can grow to such sizes. Not only are the sizes of wild boars often underestimated, the moose is another animal whose size is hard to believe. And the Kamchatka moose is one of the most impressive animals on the planet. This subspecies of the East Siberian moose competes with the Alaskan moose for the world record in size. Male moose can weigh an astonishing 1,700 pounds, and in height and length, they can reach up to 10 feet. The moose's antlers are also impressive. The record span of their antlers is comparable to the arm span of an adult human. By the way, the number of branches on a moose's antlers increases each year. These moose haven't always lived in the Russian Far East. They were brought from the north in 1976. And let me tell you, it was not an easy delivery. For 7 years, teams carefully captured moose in the Pinzina River Basin and transported them to the peninsula. The first group was released in the Levchkapina River Basin, and from there they spread throughout the region. Today, the Kranatsky Nature Reserve, located in the heart of Kamchatka, is their habitat. This is where the record-breaking moose comes into play. In 2017, hunter Catherine Percy made headlines. She harvested a moose that broke the previous world record by 30 points. Its antlers are now the largest ever recorded. Catherine Percy traveled a long way to Kamchatka for an exhilarating adventure. Don't think that moose hunting is just about killing a large animal. The unpredictable weather makes this hunt one of the toughest. Percy flew by helicopter to the wilds of Kamchatka. Then there was a 4-day hike. She spent 2 weeks in a tiny cabin without running water, surrounded by snow and smoking volcanoes. The experience was almost surreal. After several days of trekking through the swamps, she finally came face to face with the giant. She took the shot, the moose fell, and the adrenaline rush was, as she put it, unforgettable. But the local guide, Stas, shrugged and said it was just another hunt. But sometimes it's not just about the size of the trophy. One evening, Percy met a group of American hunters. They were upset about their lack of success, and when they saw her catch, they thought they could never compare to that. Catherine Percy, however, would have preferred an older moose with smaller antlers. That would be better for the herd. Of course, hunting these giants is strictly regulated. Hunting licenses are limited, and there are some strict rules in place. For example, there is a ban on hunting females. Additionally, hunters can only pursue moose during certain times of the year. And yet, Catherine Percy's moose was certified as a new world record, the largest in Russia and the third largest in the world. According to the Hunting Consortium, it surpassed the Alaskan moose record by more than 30 inches. Another of the world's largest animals resides in the north, the polar bear. They are built to survive in the harshest conditions in Alaska, Canada, Russia, and Greenland. They have an incredibly keen sense of smell, allowing them to track prey from many miles away. These skilled swimmers dive, swim, and climb on moving ice floes like Olympic athletes. But not for medals, rather for feasts of seals, walruses, and other seafood. Their appetites match their enormous size. Unlike other species that feed on plant-based food, the diet of polar bears is 90% meat. Also, most animals can only take short breaks between meals. But these Arctic giants can go without food for months. All because they hunt animals with a thick layer of subcutaneous fat. And their accumulated fat helps the bears survive until the next big hunt. Adult males can weigh up to 1,500 pounds. But one stood out even here. This enormous bear was found in Alaska in 1960. He was a true giant of the north. He weighed 2,209 pounds, roughly the same as 11 people at once. And as for height, imagine, taller than average African and Asian elephants. However, the elephant still wins the weight competition by a large margin. In fact, this particular bear was not only the largest in the United States. He was the largest recorded polar bear in the world. Unfortunately, despite its legendary size, this polar bear met a tragic fate. Displayed at the World's Fair in Seattle, this titan continues to exist only thanks to taxidermy. What a spectacle! It's unlikely that we will ever see another polar bear as large as this one. But there are still quite large individuals roaming the Arctic. The largest polar bear today lives in Alaska and weighs over 1,000 pounds. Everyone jokingly calls him Fat Albert. The locals bring him food to ensure a healthy and regular diet. When fishermen have whale meat, they leave some a couple of miles from town. This also means that the bear won't wander into residential areas. The locals see feeding the polar bear as a connection with nature and a return to a fragile balance. Well, since we're talking about elephants, I remind you African elephants are still the largest land animals in the world. These giants can weigh up to 15,400 pounds, and truly exceptional individuals have weighed much more. The largest African elephant is known as the Angolan giant. It stood 13 feet tall at the shoulder and weighed almost 24,000 pounds. That's about the weight of a minibus, only with a trunk and tusks. Its size earned it a place in history, as well as in the Smithsonian Museum of Natural History. Moreover, it became an iconic symbol of the grandeur and fragility of African elephants. Elephants are not just big, they are long. There are elephants that reach up to 25 feet from the tip of the nose to the tail, and males average 12 feet at the shoulder. A moving mountain with ears. By the way, their ears can reach an impressive 6 feet in length. And they don't just wave impressively. These enormous appendages act as natural air conditioners, helping elephants regulate their body temperature under the scorching African sun. And naturally, elephants also hold an honorable place among animals with the longest noses. Their muscular trunks are over 10 feet long. Just the nose alone is taller than a human. With their trunks, they can uproot entire trees, grab a branch for a snack, or even delicately pick up a peanut. But that's not all. African elephants have the heaviest brain among all land mammals. It weighs about 11 pounds. It's like a brick or a kitten inside an impressive skull. No wonder elephants are among the smartest animals too. And their tusks aren't light either. The largest tusks of the same Angolan giant weighed about 220 pounds each and extended more than 11 feet in length. Giant boars could only dream of such tusks. But there are heartbreaking stories associated with elephant tusks. Sateo, a huge elephant from Kenya, had tusks so enormous that they almost touched the ground. They weighed over 100 pounds each and were considered a treasure. Sateo roamed Tsavo East National Park like royalty. But it was this fame that made him a target for poachers. Unfortunately, in 2014, he was killed by a poison arrow. Despite constant surveillance, he met an untimely end when he wandered into areas prone to poaching. His death served as a grim reminder of the dangers these gentle giants face. Poaching, driven by the insatiable demand for ivory, is pushing these magnificent creatures to the brink. In 2013 alone, more than 20,000 elephants were killed for their tusks. China banned the ivory trade in 2017, but the demand remains. While we admire the size and intelligence of elephants, those like Sateo and the Angolan giant are becoming increasingly rare. The hallmark of the next animals is towering over the entire animal kingdom in the most literal sense. Giraffes, with their long necks and legs, are undoubtedly the tallest land animals. But did you know that there is an even taller subspecies among them? Meet the Maasai giraffe, the tallest living creature on Earth. To begin with, any giraffe is impressive. They grow up to 16 feet tall, almost like 2 stories. They can easily peek into a window, and they don't even have to use stairs. A giraffe's neck makes up a third of its entire body length, and it has only 7 vertebrae, just like humans, only they are very large and elongated. However, the Maasai giraffe is a true champion when it comes to height. These beauties stand at 18 feet tall. They could surely eat leaves from trees that sometimes grow on rooftops. Yes, to reach such heights, these creatures need to eat a lot, about 66 pounds a day. And although they love to chew on leaves, their favorite snack is actually the giraffe thorn. In tough times, giraffes might nibble on grass, but the thorny tree remains a delicacy for them. Maasai giraffes are further distinguished by the unique pattern on their skin. Other giraffes have spots that range from almost round to angular. For the Maasai, these are irregular, jagged shapes that resemble abstract art. Some of their spots even resemble stars or maple leaves. But, as with all giraffes, they serve for camouflage and body heat regulation. And this is important, as they live in the southern and central parts of Kenya and Tanzania. Scientists suggest that they migrated from the tropical region of East Africa due to the overly dry climate. However, the largest Maasai giraffe, Forrest, lives at the Queensland Zoo in Australia. He currently holds the record as the tallest living giraffe in the world. Forrest is 12 years old and stands at 18 feet and 8 inches tall. To measure him, a special measuring pole had to be made and set up next to the feeder. Forrest's impressive height earned him a place in the Guinness World Records in 2023. Forrest also plays an important role in the zoo's giraffe breeding program, being the father of more than 12 offspring. The previous record holder was a giraffe named George. He stood at 20 feet tall, at the age of 9. He was so tall that his horns would get stuck in the doorways of the shelter. He had to duck every time. George passed away in 1969. Unfortunately, giraffes face real danger in the wild. Maasai giraffes are even endangered. But don't despair, conservation efforts to protect these magnificent creatures are in full swing. Forest participation in the breeding program is just one example of how zoos and conservation specialists are working to ensure that these gentle giants continue to thrive for future generations. Finally, I want to introduce you to King Kong, but not the gorilla, the buffalo, one of the real giants among us. This 3-year-old Asian buffalo is not just big, he is a giant, standing an impressive 6 feet 8 inches from hoof to withers. He is significantly taller than any other buffalo and has rightfully earned his place in the record book as the tallest living buffalo on the planet. But don't be intimidated by his size. Despite his impressive height, King Kong is not some terrifying giant. He would rather splash around in a pond and munch on bananas. The people who care for him openly say that deep down, he's a big, playful puppy. King Kong got his name right away when he was born on the Nglani farm in Thailand. The farm owner immediately realized that he would be special. He was taller than the other calves, so he was named after the famous giant ape from the movies. And the name is fitting, because like his namesake, King Kong has a big size and a big heart. He enjoys spending time with the farm visitors, especially loves being scratched. In fact, he is so popular that he seems to know he's the star of the show and often struts around playfully, basking in his fame. King Kong starts his morning at 6 o'clock, heading to the yard to refresh himself in the pond. After his bath, he enjoys a hearty breakfast before relaxing for the rest of the day. After 5 in the evening, it's time for another shower, followed by a dinner fit for a king. 35 kilograms of food, to be exact. King Kong's favorite foods are straw, corn, and of course, bananas. With his incredible appetite, it's no wonder he has grown so large. King Kong grew up with his parents, and despite his fame, does not plan to leave his home on the farm. Water buffaloes like him hold deep cultural and historical significance in Thailand. For centuries, they have been vital to the country's agriculture, serving as hardworking, reliable pack animals. In fact, adult buffaloes can reach over 10 feet in length, and the horns of males can extend up to 6 feet, and are used in traditional ceremonies. Their magnificence lies not only in their size. They help control weeds, as buffaloes eat aquatic plants, some of which are harmful to the environment. This is how King Kong contributes to supporting the ecosystem while enjoying life and delighting those around him.